Welcome to our December Lunch and Learn on self-care for the Arizona Peer and Family Career Academy. I am Haley Winterberg, our Executive Director, and I'm so excited to have you here with us today. It's truly exceptional to have you all here joining us. I'd love to welcome our amazing speaker, Paige Rogers. I'm going to give her a moment to introduce herself in a second, but I wanted to take a moment to share a little bit about our organization and talk about this amazing opportunity. So our Lunch and Learns for the Peer and Family Career Academy are sponsored by Arizona Complete Health. So this is made possible by the amazing health plan down south who just re-won their REBA expansion. So thank you for their amazing sponsorship of this amazing opportunity. We are so grateful for that. Who is Arizona Peer and Family Career Academy? We are really focused on continuing to develop our peer and family support specialists. So our mission is to inspire recovery and wellness through professional development and continuing education to equip emerging leaders and strengthen peer and family support workforce. So we exist to support you. That is our goal here in our workforce. I am both an individual that is both a peer support specialist and a family support specialist. I've done both roles and I'm so blessed to be here. I do want to go over some Zoom basics. I think many of us have been on Zoom before, but some of us haven't. It's not part of our everyday world for some people. So I want to go over some basics that maybe is new for some people and want to make sure that everyone is familiar with some basics. If you're on with your phone, you'll want to make sure you use the raise your hand feature when it comes time for questions. You can mute your audio, stop and share your video. We don't require you to be on video if you don't want to. It certainly makes it a better experience as we present because it doesn't feel like we're presenting to an empty room when people are on video. Also, if you're using a computer, you'll see your buttons either up on the top of your screen or down below. Sometimes they might kind of go hiding on you. So if you just scroll your mouse up to the top or the bottom of your screen, they will rise up and you can select mute or unmute. Please don't be alarmed if we do hear some background noise. If you somehow accidentally become unmuted, we will mute your audio. We want to just make sure that you don't accidentally say something or we overhear the dog barking or your kiddo saying something or confidential information. We want to make sure that we are being mindful of all of that. So just keep that in mind. We're not trying to shush you or anything like that. But if we do accidentally hear some background noise, we will be muting in any individuals where that's occurring during the presentation. For Peer and Family Career Academy, this is kind of a piece of our smaller training that we offer. We offer a much larger self-care training. So this is some snippets of that. If you want some longer trainings, we'll be offering more trainings in 2022. We're currently looking and revamping many of our trainings for the next coming year. So if you're wanting to schedule more trainings with us and register with us, please know we'll be offering more trainings starting in January. So please know it's not that there's anything on pause. We're just holding off in the holiday season while we get those curriculums revised. Our current trainings that we do offer is our forensics, breaking down the barriers, self-care, hope and healing for the opioid use crisis, abilities, differences, and inclusion. That's focused on individuals with developmental disabilities or special needs, effective advocacy, motivational leadership, which is a supervisor course, which Paige and I will be leading in January. We know for sure that's going to be on the books here soon. And these amazing lunch and learns. Another exciting program I want to make sure that everybody on this call knows about is our peer-to-peer coaching program. This is open to any peer or family support specialist. This is available as either group coaching, which we have on Wednesday nights. We've got one tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. You can register on our website if you'd like to join that. And we have one-to-one where we have extra trained peer family support specialists that can meet with you in the evenings, in the morning, during your lunch hour. You can schedule when that's convenient for both you and that coach to really have someone to chat. It's health and wellness coaching. So you have someone to support you. This is not employment coaching. It's not counseling, but it's support for you as you are navigating through these challenging times. And we have a difficult job as peer and family support specialists. And so we're here to support you in that journey. And so we have this amazing program. I, for one, have spent a lot of money on having coaches. So take up this opportunity to have free coaching available to you. We've got it, take it up. And I'm so honored to be able to introduce to you Paige Rogers. She's someone I have known for a very long time, and she is truly remarkable. She's going to be presenting on self-care, and she is definitely an expert and some amazing expertise here. So with no further ado, I will hand it over to Paige. Thank you, Paige.
Thank you, Haley. Thanks for that great introduction. And thanks for inviting me to join you guys today for this Lunch and Learn. So I am going to walk you through a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, really on kind of the negative cycle of stress and how to combat that. But we're going to start with some really simple grounding techniques, and then we're going to finish with some kind of office yoga, basic yoga that you can do with any clothes and sitting in a chair, any place. So to start with our grounding techniques, I want to make sure everybody has like a blank piece of paper or scratch paper and a pencil or a pen next to you. Ideally a pencil if you have one. I know a lot of people don't use pencils anymore. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of sit up nice and straight and roll your shoulders back 3 times. Now I want you to make sure you're sitting kind of right on the edge of your chair. I'm going to scoot my chair out a little bit and have your feet flat on the ground. I want you to tap your heels on the ground. And now I want you to lift up your toes and tap your toes or the balls of your feet on the ground. And then bring the feet back so they're flat on the ground. Now I want you to take your hands, palms facing up, and just rest them either in your lap or on your desk. And now squeeze your hands into fists and squeeze as tight as you can, and take one nice deep breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, release the fists. Squeeze again, breathe in, nice tight fist. And exhale, release. Do that one more time. Squeeze those fists and breathe in through the nose. And exhale, release. Now I want you to take your left arm and put it out in front of you, and then grab the fingers and just kind of pull them back. So you're stretching your wrist a little bit. Just kind of take those nice deep breaths as you continue that. A couple of good deep breaths here with the mouth closed, the jaw relaxed. So we're just breathing in and out through the nose. And then drop that arm and reverse. So opposite arm, just kind of pull those fingers back towards you. And drop that arm and relax. Now, I want you to take your fingers and spread them as wide as you can, and then just place your palms facing down on your desk or table or lap, and just keep spreading those fingers nice and wide, like you're really stretching out the muscles in the hands. And then release. And just kind of shake the arms out. Just kind of get loosey-goosey, shake those arms, which way feels good to you. Good. Now, continuing to sit up nice and straight with our feet flat on the ground, I want you to grab that pen or pencil and your piece of paper. And we're going to do a couple of drawing exercises to help ground us and to help just really kind of clear the mind and just be in a space where we can be calm and still and open. So the first thing I want you to do is we're going to draw a picture without picking up your pen or pencil from the paper. So it's going to be on the paper the entire time. So your picture is going to come out looking kind of funky. And I'm going to guide you through some suggestions of what to draw, but you can draw whatever you want. Draw whatever comes to mind. So I'm going to suggest we start in the lower left-hand corner of the paper and we draw a big wave. So just draw some waves of the ocean. And then let's turn that wave into a surfboard. And maybe there's a little stick figure surfer dude up on the surfboard. And then another wave comes down from the surfboard, and that wave turns into a curly Q tail of a pig. So now let's make a little pig. Got some little ears, let's make a little snout. Remember, don't lift your pencil up at all. Let's give them 4 legs. And let's come back into that wave and turn it into a windmill or a daisy. Whichever you want. And bring the pencil back down. Anyone want to share how their drawing turned out? Hold them up if you want. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, nice, Haley. If you can get a new piece of paper, or you can do it on the same paper, doesn't matter. I want you to look at something in the room you're in. Find something that you bring your eyes to in the room you're in. It could be something really simple. I'm just going to pick my phone. And I want you to draw that. I want you to look at that and take in all the details of that object that you're looking at and draw it, but draw it without looking at your paper. So don't look at what you're drawing. Look only at the object you're drawing. So the entire time you're drawing it, maintain your focus on the object. Now this time you can pick your pencil up if you want to. Just noticing all the little details of what you're looking at here as you draw it. And again, you're not looking at your drawing at all. You're just kind of having fun, checking out the details. Okay, now you can stop and take a look at your drawing. It probably came out really funky, but that's okay. Because the idea is that we're taking in something visually and we're putting something out physically with the sensation of drawing. And it's not about what our drawing looks like, but in the act of doing that, that very simple act of drawing something without looking at our paper, we're able to start to clear our mind. Whatever we walked in with today, whatever kind of baggage we walked in with, is slowly starting to slip away as we're just grounding ourselves. So I want you to do one more exercise to ground yourself. And you can do it on the same piece of paper, or you can pick a new piece of paper if you have one. And I want you to just draw something really simple, leaves, any shape and size leaves you want. I want you to just have fun with it. They don't have to look like real leaves. They could have polka dots or stripes on them. But I want you to, at least with 1 or 2 of the leaves, take your pen or pencil on the side and shade it. And just kind of notice and feel the physical sensation of shading. And just try and fill your whole paper with leaves. And no one's going to see this but you. It's not an art contest. So I'm making some polka dot leaves. I'll do like a maple leaf here. Maybe there's a favorite tree in your yard or at the park you like to go to, or on a hike that you enjoy. Maybe you can picture a favorite tree and draw what you think the leaves might look like on that tree. Maybe it's a memory from somewhere you used to go, or a place you vacationed one time. If you haven't shaded in one of your leaves yet, do some more shading. And then this time with the shading, maybe do light shading in the center and then some darker shading around the edges. Maybe move your paper around a little bit as you're shading. Okay, draw one last leaf. Good. So my objective today is to show you guys and practice with you some very basic calming and grounding techniques. So these are things that we can do on our own to help with our own self-care and to help with our own stress relief and activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, or that relaxation response in the physical body. These are also really simple things that we can teach and encourage the people we work with to do and the families that we serve. So my goal is that you walk away with a couple of concrete things that you can do on a regular basis that are super simple. They don't require anything fancy. They don't require any special space or special clothes or special utensils, and that you can maybe start to incorporate these into your own life, into your own practice, and perhaps start to share some of these tips and tricks with the people that you work with and the people in your family to help them with stress release as well. So with that, I'm going to transition us to just a brief PowerPoint, and then we'll wrap up with our chair yoga. Let's see here. Slideshow. Can everybody see the screen okay? You should see like some cute little cotton. Yeah, okay, cool. So what you feel, you can heal. So I want you to think about, as we're talking through this, is really being able to label the things that you're feeling and to start to think about the root of some of those feelings. And we can be talking about mental thoughts. We can be talking about physical feelings. It goes both ways. And I'm just noticing a chat coming up, so bear with me. Oh, looks like everybody's audio is working. There was a question. Did you get a chance to get your audio fixed? Ann Gunty? If your audio is not fixed, you might want to try calling in on your phone. Maybe there's an issue with the audio through the computer. This seems like a silly tip, but sometimes when I log on to Zoom and I go, I can't hear anyone, and then I realize that my volume was just really low. So if you haven't tried that, give that a shot too. And I'm seeing some people coming into the waiting room still. So maybe Sonnet, can you help with admitting people to the waiting room? Just kind of keep an eye on that. Okay. So we are going to talk about the vicious cycle of stress. So you can see, obviously, you all work in this field. This is not new information to you. Stress impacts every element of our self, from our emotions to our physical body, to our mind, to our behaviors, and they play into each other. For example, loss of sleep can cause so many other negative things within our body and start to create a cycle of dis-ease, a cycle of opening our body up to illness. And so I just take a quick look at this slide here to kind of make a mental note of some of these things and how they kind of play into each other sometimes as a vicious cycle. So our body has the capability of creating a response that can help it physically react when we feel scared or nervous. And that's the fight or flight response. So in response to any kind of acute stress, the body's sympathetic nervous system is activated. And when our sympathetic nervous system is activated, we start to release hormones. It's a sudden and it's an intense release of hormones. Our adrenal glands are stimulated. We're triggering the release of something called catecholamines, and that includes adrenaline and noradrenaline. It also includes cortisol. It includes this increase in our heart rate. It includes an increase in our blood pressure and our breathing. Our rate of breath goes up. Sometimes our breath becomes short and shallow. And when our body goes into that fight or flight response, or in other words, when our sympathetic nervous system is activated, after the stress goes away, it sometimes takes a whole hour for our body to get out of that response. So we could have that increased blood pressure, we could have the shortened breath, we can have our adrenal glands working in overdrive for a whole hour after the stress is gone. And the longer and more frequently you're having stress, the longer it takes the body to recover. So imagine you're in a stressful situation. You go into fight or flight response, and that stressful situation, maybe it only lasts 20 minutes. And you're in that 60-minute period afterwards where your body's trying to recover. And then you get another stressful situation right on top. So your body never fully recovers, and you're right back into that fight or flight response. You're right back into pumping all that adrenaline into your body. And you're right back into producing all of that extra cortisol that your body doesn't really need. So the tips and tricks that we're going to talk about today are really simple ways to help increase our recovery period, that period after the stress has gone away, where we can start to activate our parasympathetic nervous system to recover and get out of that fight or flight response. So let's talk about how the mind influences the body. So obviously, we all know that we have the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and that this distinguishes us from other beings in the fact that we're able to produce very specific and intentional thoughts. So did you know, or did you think about the fact that your thoughts guide your emotions? So it is often the thought that comes into our brain first before the emotion. And we don't necessarily realize that sometimes, because we feel the emotion, especially if it's a strong emotion, we feel the emotion first before we realize the thought that came into our brain. So the reason this is important is because it really highlights why things like affirmations can be really powerful, because it's starting to retrain the thoughts that we have coming into our brain. So I like to use this example of being chased by a lion. So if you were out in the wild and you saw a lion, you were just enjoying this nice, lovely little hike, and then all of a sudden you see this lion and it starts chasing you, your body's going to go into fight or flight response, right? And you're going to want that, man. You need as much adrenaline and cortisol as you can take at that point, because you got to get out of there fast to save your life. Or you got to fight that lion if you think you're super strong. Either way, you need that adrenaline pumping, coursing through your body hardcore. Imagine if there wasn't actually a lion there, but you thought you saw a lion, and it actually was just another hiker, and you were on super alert and you thought it was a lion. Your body is going to do the exact same thing. You're going to go through the exact same response as if a lion was actually there, because the thought triggers the body's reaction. The thought of seeing the lion triggers the body's reaction to go into fight or flight response and to start to activate that sympathetic nervous system. So let's talk about that a little bit. How can we change our thought process? Oops, my slides are automatically progressing. Sorry about that. The more you think a particular thought, the more likely you are going to continue to think that same thought. So every time we think a thought, it creates a neural pathway or a groove in our brain. And the more we think that thought, the deeper that groove gets. So the more likely we'll continue to think that thought. It's an easier thought to think because that groove is there. You can almost think of it like runoff water that starts to create a groove in the ground. So as runoff water from the rain is coming, it's more likely to go down that same groove. In the same way, we can kind of water, if you will, or nurture certain neural pathways in our brain. So going back to that lion example, if you are constantly thinking, I am in danger, the more likely you will feel in danger. And then therefore, the more likely you will continue to think the thought, I am in danger. And as you think that thought, you're more likely to perceive certain situations as dangerous. And your body's going to start to release all those stress hormones related to being in danger. Skip that slide for us. So thinking along this same term, if we don't give our body that chance to recover, we can start to see some really long-term negative impact on our physical body. And so this is just a chart that starts to show what research has proven are long-term physical impacts of stress. And these all play into each other. So for example, let's go with the fibromyalgia and fluid retention, pain and tension in the muscles and joints. If you're experiencing that, you're going to be less likely to be very physically active. If you're not as physically active, you may start to experience that weight gain piece of it. And that may start to influence your libido. These things are all playing into each other as your body starts to open up now to more illness because it's not in that recovery period. So the best way to think of it is when you are in fight or flight mode, your body believes that getting away from that lion is the most important thing to do, and nothing else at that moment matters. So the other systems of your body may start to shut down in order to give all your strength and energy to the ability to run away. So, and that's where we talk about that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight. Again, as a reminder, the opposite of that would be the parasympathetic nervous system or the relaxation response. So the more we can figure out ways to trigger the relaxation response, we can combat some of the stuff that we talked about as far as being in that fight or flight response and the impact. So here's the relaxation response. I like referring to it as rest and digest. So our digestive system virtually shuts down when we're in fight or flight, because again, our mind believes we need all that energy from the body to go to fighting or fleeing the situation. And so that's where resting and digesting helps. Again, the digestive system can be reactivated, the heart rate can slow down, your blood vessels are widening. So this is definitely something that you want to spend more time in the blue versus the green. So just quick review, cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine are released during a stressful event or an event that's believed or perceived to be stressful. When we believe something to be true, based upon our perceptions, it's going to stimulate the stress response in the body. The relaxation response, conversely, happens when the parasympathetic nervous system is activated and will help us recover from the stress. And again, will help us shorten that recovery period so we don't have to take an hour every time to recover from the stress. So the theory of cognitive appraisal is going to tie back into that idea that our thoughts trigger what our emotions are and our thoughts trigger what our body does. So the theory of cognitive appraisal is simply that the thought occurs first and in turn directs the emotional reaction, the emotional state, and that it's based on our appraisal of the situation. So changing our appraisal of a situation can lead to feeling different emotions. And this is where affirmations can really be effective. So I like to use an example in the theory of cognitive appraisal of having a relative come to visit. Or you can think of a coworker perhaps as well that maybe you struggle in your interactions with. So I'm going to go with the relative example. So you have an out-of-town relative coming to visit, and this is a relative that is going to stay with you. And every time this relative comes, it just doesn't go so well. And you tend to be extra stressed while they're there. You tend to be extra stressed just thinking about preparing for their arrival. And you end up getting in arguments with them. They end up saying something that offends you. And at the end of it, you just say, oh, thank goodness they only come, every 3 years because I need a break. So what if you spent the entire time preparing for their arrival, thinking about all the positive things about them, listing off all the wonderful things about these people, and really trying to focus your thoughts on those positive things, even if it was just a simple, very, very simple affirmation that you told yourself about them every day as you prepared for their arrival. Well, believe it or not, as cheesy as it might sound, you're going to have a better experience with them this time around because you prepared mentally by telling yourself thoughts that were positive. And so now you're changing your appraisal of the situation. You're changing your appraisal of the situation before the situation has even happened. So now it's going to be, now you've created those neural pathways, right? So now it's going to be even easier for you to continue to change that appraisal while the situation is happening. So what is your personal interpretation of an event? Are you labeling it as negative or positive? What are you perceiving as the cause of the situation? One of the things that I really love that I think helps with this theory of cognitive appraisal is practicing Zen mind or beginner's mind. So that's the idea of completely erasing or pretending like you can erase your memory of something. And so let's pick something really simple like eating an apple. We've all probably eaten at least 100 apples in our life, probably thousands. So what if you were to take an apple and practice that Zen mind while you're eating that apple, telling yourself, I have never eaten an apple before. I don't know what it tastes like. I don't know what this experience is going to be like. I have no preconceived notions about what this apple is going to be. I don't label it. It's not negative, it's not positive, it's not healthy, it's not bad for you, it's not yummy, it's not gross, it's none of that. I'm coming to the table with no preconceived notions. So now start to think about what if you practice Zen mind with the people in your life. Think how many times we come to the table for a conversation with someone already with a preconceived notion of how they're going to respond or what their reasoning is going to be. So if we can truly come to the table with that beginner's mind, like this is my first interaction with you. I have no labels. I have no preconceived notions about how this interaction is going to go. That is the theory of cognitive appraisal. I suggest is a very easy thing to do is to practice Zen mind or beginner's mind every day. And you can just do it very, very simply in your morning routine. You can do it with either when you're taking your shower in the morning or when you're having your breakfast or your morning coffee. And just think about, I have no idea what it's going to feel like to have that water in the shower on my skin. And experience it like it's the first time you've ever experienced it. Let's say it's your coffee. I have no idea what this coffee is going to taste like. I have zero expectation in my mind about coffee. Experience that first sip as if it is your first sip of coffee ever in your life. If you can begin to practice that every single day, that little tiny bit of Zen mind, which isn't going to take you any extra time because you're doing it during something that you're already doing anyway. It's a task that you're already doing as part of your morning routine. That is going to help you master Zen mind in bigger situations in your life, more important situations where you're maybe starting to have some negative perception about somebody, and you need to practice that Zen mind in order to help release that perception and truly experience them for the first time. So I want you to we're going to do another little grounding technique here. And the first thing I want you to do is just take a minute, take a couple of nice deep breaths, and just look around you. Look around your room that you're sitting in right now, and just make a mental note of 5 things that you see. They don't have to be earth-shattering things. It could be the same lamp that you look at every day. Just make a mental note of it. Maybe you notice some smaller detail about it than you normally do. Just take a couple of nice deep breaths as you're making those observations. And now I want you to close your eyes. And again, sitting up nice and straight. Just let your hands relax in your lap. Let your shoulders fall down away from your ears. And I want you to just do a body scan here. And make a note of anything that you're feeling in your body. Is there a part of the body that's feeling a little tightness? Can you send your breath there? What does it feel like on your feet? Are your feet flat on the ground? Do you feel your weight evenly distributed? Are you perhaps shifting more weight into one side versus the other? Or are you evenly sitting, distributed across both sit bones? And now notice the sensation of your breath. Bring your attention to the breath. As you breathe in, notice your belly expanding. Notice your chest expanding. And just feel those physical sensations. As you breathe out, feel the shoulders fall a little more. Notice if you're carrying any tension in your jaw, let it go. This time, as you breathe in, feel the spine get a little taller, sitting up a little straighter. As you breathe out, relaxing those shoulders a little more. Just continue observing the physical body. And now, as you're sitting here and breathing, I want you to notice 2 or 3 things that you can hear. Bring your attention to the sounds in the room. And now shift your attention slightly to the smells in the room. Just noticing the smells around you. Continuing to breathe. Eyes are closed, jaw relaxed. And now open your eyes. So I want you to think about and notice how you feel right now, perhaps a heightened state of calmness. How simple to think of things you see, feel, hear, smell, and maybe even taste. You can do the taste if you have your lunch in front of you now. But this is a really, really simple thing that you can encourage the families you work with to practice as well. Take 2 to 5 minutes to go through each of those senses. And if you can do it outdoors, even better. If you can do it outdoors, bare feet, and really ground your feet, even better. So I want you to, one more time, close your eyes. Let your hands drop into your lap and just sit comfortably. And find that deep Ujjayi breath again. So that Ujjayi breath is a yogic breathing technique, which is just a slow, steady inhalation and exhalation. And as you breathe in, I want you to slowly, silently say to yourself, breathing in, I relax my body. And as you breathe out, I want you to silently say, breathing out, I smile. So it's breathing in, I relax my body. Breathing out, I smile. Slow, steady breath. This time I want you to control where you're sending the breath in your body. So start by sending the breath just to the belly. As you breathe in, feel the belly get big and round. Feel the waist get wider. And as you breathe out, subtle contraction of the abdomen. So do that 3 more times, just belly breathing here. Now I want you to send the breath to the chest this time. So as you breathe in, feel the chest getting wide, just breathing into that whole chest cavity. Feel the shoulders dropping and the heart just lifting, puffing up. And as you breathe out, just releasing tension in the shoulders as the chest falls. Breathing in, the heart rises. Breathing out, the heart falls. And let your breath become audible, something like the sound of ocean waves crashing against the sand. You're breathing in and out through the nose, but you kind of hear that breath rushing against the roof of the mouth and the back of the throat. Your mouth stays closed, your jaw relaxed. And now this time I want you to breathe into your back. Try and control the breath so that with each inhalation, you're sending that breath to your back. You feel it going in between each vertebrae of the spine. You feel the breath spiraling around underneath the shoulder blades where we carry all that tension. And visualize the breath going there. Visualize it breaking through that tension under the shoulder blades. Really draw out the breath, maybe 6 to 8 counts in and the same number of counts out. Just expanding the back. And this time, as you breathe in, go ahead and let that breath go to the whole body, the chest, the belly, the back. The whole body is just filling up with breath, prana, life force. And with each exhalation, letting go a little more. Now I want you to peer into your mind's eye, watching your thoughts roll by as if you're an outsider looking into your mind. I don't want you to worry about clearing your mind of thoughts. That's impossible to do. I want you to just watch your thoughts come into the mind and leave. Visualize those thoughts as if they're on a conveyor belt, a very slowly moving conveyor belt. And the more relaxed you become, the slower that conveyor belt is. And as you see each thought come through the mind, you don't judge it. You don't get frustrated that it's there. You just acknowledge it, bless it, and send it on its way. You avoid labeling the thoughts. The thought isn't good or bad, it just is. You don't cling to the thought. You don't hide from the thought. Just watching those thoughts roll by. Now I want you to shift that visualization to the thoughts as clouds in the sky. And now the thoughts are these big, cute, white, puffy clouds floating through a clear blue sky. They just kind of go by, and then they drift away. And another one drifts into view, and then it drifts away. And eventually, there's more and more space of just blue before the next thought rolls through. You continue to feel your breath moving in and out of your body. Now bring your attention to the physical body. Check back in with yourself. Relax your face. Relax that jaw. Let the arms fall heavy on the lap. They're just kind of hanging off of the shoulders, completely relaxed and heavy. Let the legs fall heavy on the earth. Feel the crown of the head lifting up away from the body with each inhalation. And now opening the eyes, we're going to slowly connect our breath to some very simple movement. So again, sitting on the edge of our chair, I'm just going to get up to scoop my chair back a little bit so you can see. Try not to make it super loud. So first thing, inhale, lift the arms up and look up. Exhale, bring the palms together at heart center. Inhale, reach the arms out and wiggle the fingers. And exhale, press the hands back together at heart center. Again, inhale, lifting up, looking up. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, reaching out, open that heart, wiggle those fingers. And exhale, heart center. And you do that one more time all the way through, lifting up. Heart center. Reaching out. And heart center. And now we're going to take a nice seated twist here. So I want you to take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. And I want you to take your right hand and grab on the back of your chair if you can, or if you're sitting in a chair with an armrest, you can grab on the arm. And inhale, lift up, and then exhale, look back behind you. And don't be afraid to take that hand that's on the knee and give yourself a little push. And then push that knee back out into the hand to give yourself some counter pressure there as you twist. It should feel really good in the spine. Make sure you're lifting the heart. Remember to continue breathing. And exhale, unwind. So we do that same thing on the other side. So first, make sure your shoulders are rolled back, your heart is lifted, you're sitting straight and tall. And then opposite hand to the outside of the opposite knee. Left hand behind you. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, twist. Take that right hand and push it into the left knee and push that knee right back into the hand for that counter pressure. Keep your abdominal muscles engaged as you're twisting here. And release. So if you can scoot a little bit away from your table, we're going to do kind of a full seated forward fold, and I don't want anyone to hit their head. So make sure you can kind of drop down without hitting your head on your desk or table. So I want you to take your legs nice and wide this time. Inhale, arms lift up. Exhale, start to reach forward like we're going to touch virtual fingers here, and then drop all the way down. And let the head hang down in between the knees. Let the arms hang limp down there like a rag doll. And just hang out. Let the neck be relaxed. The head is hanging. And I want you to very slowly come up, but this time you're going to come up one vertebrae at a time. Engage your abdominal muscles and very, very slowly roll up. And as you come up, roll the shoulders back again. And we do that one more time. So inhale, lift up, drop the shoulders down. Exhale, reach, reach, reach out in front of you, and then drop all the way down and hang limp like a rag doll. Shake the head, yes. Shake it now. Wiggle the torso from side to side. And then one more time with a nice strong core, slowly roll up. One vertebrae at a time. And when you come to the top, roll those shoulders back 3 times again. Think of all that tension we hold in the shoulders. And drop the arms. So we're going to go into a hip stretch here. And the reason I want to show you a hip stretch today is because when we talk about the fight or flight response and all those chemicals, those hormones that our body's producing when we're in fight or flight, that gets stored in the iliopsoas. That's the zone of muscles that connect our legs to our torso. Because think about it, those are the muscles we use if we were actually running away. So if you go into fight or flight a lot, and it's because you're stressed out about work or something else, it's not actually being chased by a lion, you're not having a way to rid those chemicals from your body. And so hip stretching is really, really important way to rid those chemicals from the body. So We're going to do a simple seated stretch here. So I want you to take your left foot. I'm going to kind of hold mine up high to show you what I'm doing, but you don't have to hold it up that high. But it's hard because my camera angle isn't great. I just want you to put your ankle right over your right knee and keep your right knee flat on the ground. And then take your left hand and push your left knee away from you. So you're sitting up nice and straight and you're just pushing that knee away from you. Notice the tighter the hip is, your knee kind of pops up and it's stuck up here. See if you can try and kind of push it away. And then as you're pushing it away, start to lean forward. Bring the heart forward. So you're leaning forward with a nice flat back, as opposed to, notice the difference between if I come down like this with my spine curved versus shoulders back, leaning forward with the heart. So you should feel a nice little stretch in the hips here. So you could stay here for a really long time because our hips are made up of layers and layers of dense connective tissue. So that tension and those hormones, they get stuck in that connective tissue. So if you can hip stretch every day, it will really, really help you in that recovery period and shortening that recovery period after you're in a stressful situation. So let's bring that leg down and try the other leg. So we'll go to the right leg. Now you're going to see my right knee's popping way up. My right hip is always way tighter than the left. So then again, take your hand and kind of push the knee away from the body and then fold forward, leading with your heart. And now notice if you flex your foot, how that changes it a little bit, intensifies it a little bit. So that foot that's up in the air, your right foot, if you can flex it, you might feel an even better stretch. And now as you're here, remember to breathe. Nice, deep, slow, steady inhalation and exhalation. Keep that beautiful breath going the whole time. And come up. And so we sit here with our hands on our lap, palms facing down. Let's kind of feel the heat, the energy in the hands. Feel the heart lifting. And let's take a moment here to set an intention or an affirmation for the rest of your day. Maybe we can start to do a little bit of that cognitive appraisal, giving yourself that affirmation of what's to come for the rest of our day. Well, I really thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you found this Lunch and Learn beneficial and interesting. I know a lot of you probably know this information already. I know that the negative impacts of stress is something that's certainly covered in the peer employment training credentialing program, as well as the family and parent support partner programs. But it's always a nice refresher, and it's always great to remember some tips and tricks on how to incorporate some of these things into every day, and really, most importantly, how to start to share some of those tips and tricks with the people you work with. So I'm going to pass it. I wanted to end a little early because I know Haley had a couple of announcements she wanted to make at the end, but we have maybe 2 or 3 minutes if anybody has anything that they wanted to share or any questions. I'm just going to scoop my chair forward again because I got
Paige, I do believe we had a question to see if you were willing to share a copy of your presentation. I did share that we post a recording of the whole presentation, but I wasn't sure if you were comfortable sharing your slides. I know many of our presenters are not, so did want to share that question.
Well, I will leave that up to the Academy to decide.
Okay, thank you. And with that, do we have any other questions for Paige before I move on to our other announcements?
Well, thank you guys for joining me. I really had a good time with you all, and I hope you guys feel really good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Paige, for that amazing presentation. I know I feel nice and refreshed and relaxed after that. I have some exciting announcements that I wanted to go over with everyone. Our next Lunch and Learn is going to be on motivational interviewing. Myself, for those of you who don't know what motivational interviewing is, that's an amazing tool and technique that we can utilize to kind of work with our members and individuals that we're connecting with, your participants, whatever your agency chooses to call them, whatever your preference is individually as well, to really help them in their own stage of change. How do you support them in identifying, how do you have open-ended questions? How do you engage them in guiding them in a direction to come up with the answers themselves? So that way we're not coming up or giving them those answers. How do we guide them to their own answers? Because I know from my own journey, when I found the answer myself, it was much more effective for me in my journey than when someone just gave me an answer. So motivational interviewing is a tool to help guide people to their own answers. And so I'm excited to be able to support and that brief training with you all next month. So hopefully you'll be able to join. You can register for that Lunch and Learn already on our website. So that's azpfca.org. So please feel free to go ahead and register now for that. We will have another $20 Amazon gift card raffle. Again, you must be present to win for that. I'm going to go ahead and get started with our raffle now. We will only have one winner, and whoever does win, please make sure to send your address to me privately at my email here. And drum roll, please. See who our winner is. Tammy's still on with us. Look and see. I don't see her. So we will spin again because you've got to be present to win. And Lonnie, I see you. You're on video even. So please send me your address. Again, I'm going to post my email right here so that way your address can be private. Thank you so much for joining our Lunch and Learn today on self-care. Thank you, Paige, for your amazing presentation and walking us through. Sign up for our newsletter, like us on social media. We will post this recording. And it looks like, Paige, you've got some additional things you're trying to add.
Yeah, there was one thing I forgot to say. If you guys enjoyed kind of the mindful drawing techniques that we did in the beginning, I wanted to share that I love the Mo Willems books. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Mo Willems, if you have kids. It's Piggy and Gerald. So Piggy is a pig and Gerald's an elephant. And the illustrations are really easy to draw and they're very happy. And Mo Willems does a lot of little YouTube videos to teach you how to draw his illustrations. And they're definitely, anytime I draw Piggy or Gerald, I feel really, really happy. So if you liked the mindful drawing, check out Mo Willems.
Ooh,
You just go on YouTube and type in Mo Willems.
That is an amazing tip. Thank you, Paige. Please, thank you for joining us. Please consider joining us for our next Lunch and Learn. We have upcoming trainings that we'll be scheduling for 2022. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.